Welcome to our next episode of Neotalk, where we do a real conversation with digital leaders, share their experiences, learn from their experiences. And today's podcast, we are happy to welcome Ronald van Drunen, a digital commerce leader who did a multiple commerce transformation. He has seen a lot and everything, what we can think in a different flavors of digital commerce, B2B, D2C, pure player, omnichannel. He has experience of everything. And in today's podcast, we are going to explore what works where. Welcome, Ronald.
Thank you, Atul, for the introduction.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here.
We are inside this room while nice weather outside. But yes. Anyways, we will make it a fun video today.
Yeah, very good.
Hey, Ronald, before we will get into this podcast, I would like to know a little bit more about you, your professional journey, and maybe a bit beyond it.
Yeah. So let me maybe just start off quickly with my professional journey. So I've been in e-commerce for about 20 years now. Multiple companies, like you already explained, in very different settings. I've been with Nike, with Bugaboo, with Staples, Philips/Verzuni, and also recently the last 6 months with Electramat, and indeed build up a lot of experience of a very big variety of experience in those different places, as well as I think a lot of good insights that I will be sharing about today. So that's a bit about my professional life. If I go to the more personal side of my life, is luckily there is a personal life outside of e-commerce as well.
Right.
I'm very passionate about sports. And that's one of the heritage of the 11 years that I spent with Nike, which is really about sports and performance. And that was a great place to combine e-commerce with sports. That's where I ran my first 10K, my first half marathon, my first full marathon, multiple relay races, and also getting to understand how sports are run. So I still have to call it like that addiction to it, that I'm practicing many days a week. Other than that, I really love spending time with my family as well. Married, I have a son of 18 years old and a daughter of 22 years old. So they're sort of starting to stand on their own legs, let's put it like that. But that's also a different phase in life that kicked off. And also I like traveling a lot. I've seen a lot of the world, both for personal purposes as well as also for business.
Right.
I think my most recent trip was at the end of 2025 in Suriname.
Oh, nice.
That I explored for 2 weeks, and I still like making those trips every now and then.
Cool. Quite diverse, not only in the professional life, but also in a personal life. Yes. I have a lot of respect for the people who does marathons. I'm personally not that great in running, so that brings extra, let's say, respect. But good that you are doing so much in the sports, but also in a personal life, like traveling. That's also my favorite.
Yeah.
Hey, on a professional side, where you have such a diverse experience, B2B, B2C, D2C, omnichannel, pure player. In all these flavors, what remain constant when it comes to digital commerce?
Yeah, I typically look at digital commerce as, I would say, like a company in a company. And that's also the way that I want to approach it internally with stakeholders as well as towards customers. And when I say like a company within a company, it sort of means like we need to excel in the entire customer journey. And work with all the disciplines in the company in order to make that come true. So it's about collaboration with teams like marketing and CRM, IT, of course, merchandising/category management that play a role. Supply chain, really important. Finance also, because a typical P&L for a digital business, it looks a little different from what you see in a more like traditional business. So that's also where finance is a stakeholder. Data management in general. So all of those teams, departments is what you need to collaborate with in order to actually get to like a proper end-to-end journey. And I think the second point that's really important there is also the relentless focus on that customer journey.
Right.
And making that live. And that, of course, got to be facilitated through the collaboration with all of the internal teams. But really understanding it from the customer side as well.
Right.
And for me, there's two ways to look at it.
Yeah.
There's on the one hand side, what customers tell you.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it's what customers actually do.
Right.
And they tell you through like customer forums, what you get back through like customer care, for example.
Yeah.
That's also a very valuable source of input. But what customers really do is what you measure through the data.
Right.
So it's tracking that customer behavior.
Yeah.
And ideally at a very granular level, which I know can be challenging.
Yeah.
But if you combine those two, then you get a really good perspective of what works and what doesn't work from a customer perspective.
Right. And do you see a lot of difference what they say and what they do? Or you can relate what they are saying and what is really happening in experience side as well?
You really do see differences there. Between what they say and what they do. And maybe to give a specific example is what you typically see what they do is that consumers are very tempted by price and price offerings. And they're really looking for the cheapest price.
Yeah.
If you ask consumers, it will be more about trust. Like, do they have trust in a certain solution, in what you offer online as a brand that they find important? It may also be that they value a lot on the experience that they go through. But the reality, you see that price typically has quite a big impact, particularly when it comes down to like commodities of products that can be purchased in multiple channels.
Right.
And which is the case for most of the products that are on market. I mean, it's quite rare that you offer a product just in one channel, just with your brand. I mean, you can do that, let's say, for introduction of new product for a limited period of time. But typically there is that, call it like that healthy competition between what you're offering as a brand, as a retailer, versus what is being offered by other retailers, what is being offered by marketplaces. And then again, price is a key one in there.
Okay, now good to know. And it's connecting to my next question. Let's say for brands who are going for D2C. For them, what D2C means? Is it more about having a differentiating experience? It's about having an extra revenue channel. It's more about getting the customer insight. What is the real purpose of D2C for brands?
It's a bit of all that you mentioned. But if I would have to pick one, then I would say it's more about experience and branding rather than it being a sales stream.
Right.
And you should look at it if maybe take Bugaboo as an example there, which is of course a very strong brand. We really created the digital experience as like a flagship experience and store towards the consumer. And for example, back then, I know today it's much more common, but back then I would say it was still quite unique, was having a configurator where you could sort of assemble your stroller in a very rich way, so to say. And that was an experience, for example, that retailers couldn't offer.
Right.
And just driving that experience is enhancing the brand. It's also showcasing to, let's say, to your retailers, like how you want the brand to be experienced. Right. And the sales through it, I mean, when it came down to strollers, was not huge. It was a relatively small channel. Right. But the whole branding, the experience, that's really what was the main purpose of the online channel that we offered. Right.
So you said that way back that was not that popular, and it was Bugaboo was starting of the digital journey, and they were making a great experience. At some point, it becomes a very serious initiative within our organization. What changed internally in the organization when your D2C channel becomes a serious, either from the customer experience point of view or from revenue point of view? What sort of changes do need to maneuver? Because it started really from the experimental point of view, and then it becomes a quite serious thing within an organization or from the customer perspective?
It's a difficult transition to go through because it's like mostly a cultural or like behavioral transition that you need to go through. And it's about the understanding that particularly other teams need to have about the value and the contribution of that channel. I mean, when you're still really small, if I say maybe exaggerate a little bit, but people don't care just because you're small and the focus is on other channels, is on other business. But when you are maturing, when you're proving that, there's something good happening here, you actually need to take like your internal teams along and also make them understand what is different, what needs to be done differently. Why, for example, the supply chain needs to be different because picking individual product is very different from picking like pallets or whatsoever. So that explains it's your finance P&L needs to be different because you have like a different margin calculation and like typically your supply chain costs in the P&L are way higher than what you find for B2B, which is something also that you need to accept. You got like payment costs that are being added to the P&L.
Right.
You got your discounts that you're offering there. So that's something that changes. And you sort of need to educate your teams internally on what it means and what is being required there.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think if I can just give one more example.
Yeah.
When you come to like product data, when you're a retailer, then typically you have like those those tools where your product data are being transferred to retailers and the retailers bring it online. But when you're sort of selling online yourself, you got to be really sure that your product data are 100% accurate. And it's the realization that the product data that you got in your internal systems is what is being exposed to the customer or to the consumer. So it just, I would say it sort of raises the bar at many levels in the organization to also elevate the e-commerce.
Right. And then this game becomes more complex when you are a global organization. Then
totally.
you are talking about each country has their own language, own need, regulations. What is your perspective on that point? Like what complexity global organization brings in comparison to if you are only operating in a limited or maybe let's say one or two countries?
It's a huge difference. If I start close to home, like if you look at Europe, like the European Union there, things are sort of pretty much harmonized when you look at it. And I would say most companies also have like their supply chain organized from one central spot in Europe, and from there they transport. It's an open market. Again, of course, the language comes into play. Typically, you can see an adjustment for payment methods. You want to offer relevant payment methods. There may be some differences in portfolio as well that you need to be aware of. Like the plugs, for example, in the UK are different plugs from the ones that we have in Netherlands. So that's something you need to adjust for. If I again take the example of Bugaboo, then in the UK it was mandatory to have all the strollers sort of being protected with like an anti-fire layer or spray, where that kind of spray was forbidden in the Netherlands. So that also gives some challenges there. But I would say in general that is overseeable since you're typically operating through similar channels. When you go outside Europe, it becomes a lot more complex. And that actually starts with understanding local customer behavior. Like where do customers shop? If I sort of make the link to Asia, customers tend to shop from marketplaces. You got like Shopee, Lazada, TikTok has been developing as well. That's really where the customers shop. So it means that you really need to focus your attention on those marketplaces, the relationship with those marketplaces, making sure that you're going to be getting like in the right spot with those marketplaces. And the value of like a branded site is simply very much reduced compared to the value that it has in Europe.
Okay.
For example. So that way and that's then really the starting point.
Yeah.
And I think what's also important there is to understand what are the big sort of shopping moments as well in any of those countries, and how can you make a valuable but also profitable offering to your customers in those countries.
Right. Oh, good insight. You touched a bit about B2B.
Yeah.
That in a B2B, from supply chain point of view, it's much, it's different. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
What is the fundamental difference between B2B and D2C, digital commerce operations?
In general, I would say B2B is more complex.
Okay.
And the complexity is it depends a little bit on the actual situation. Right. I would say in general it's more complex.
Yeah.
Because when interacting with B2B, there's typically a lot of specific requirements you get from especially your larger B2B customers.
Yeah.
There may be a need, for example, for internal approval flows that need to be facilitated. There may be a need for specific pricing.
Right.
Even specific portfolio.
Right.
And it means, and that's, for example, what we implemented with Staples.
Yeah.
That you need to work with those customers individually.
Right.
And sort of develop and configure customer-specific capabilities.
Right.
And that's what makes it more complex.
Right.
Maybe the most complex setting is when you want to facilitate both.
Yeah.
Because then you got to offer a D2C journey and a B2B journey.
Yeah.
And the challenges that you see there is that, for example, the expectations in content can be quite different.
Right.
Whereas the consumer has a different, let's say, understanding of the product and a different process to go through in order to really get to understand that product.
Right.
Whereas for the B2B, it's much more about a very specific functional need that they have, and the product got to hit the right expectations. And typically also, if you look like the complexity of product or the quality expectations are higher in B2B than what you find in D2C.
Right.
If I take maybe Electramat as an example here, when selling product to B2B customers, it's again very specific configurations of a product that a B2B customer is looking for. And the consumer themselves, they are often doing the more simple electrical jobs themselves, for which they don't need all of that complexity. So there's different expectations regarding content. And you need to accommodate both. Which actually means, in order to do that right, that you need to have implemented a proper segmentation. Proper customer segmentation, so your D2C customer versus your B2B customer. But also within B2B, you can in most cases identify different customer segments that also come with like their own expectations. So that again drives the complexity for B2B as opposed to just running a D2C store.
No, totally agree. And what I find very complex in a B2B, you are also touching that point. In a B2B, in a one experience, you have to serve multiple personas.
Exactly.
You need to serve a very young guy who is just exploring the products, technician who is really going to use that product, but also chief procurement officer who is looking at the price, precise information, and more risk around that product. Now, serving all these three personas through one experience is sometimes difficult or complex. That's where the complexity comes, I would say.
Exactly.
Totally
agree.
Hey, you touched the Electramat. I find it very inspiring when I think about the pure players. Because they changed the game, in my opinion, in a digital commerce. So, and there are many traditional wholesalers which is still on the journey of digital maturity. What can those traditional wholesalers can learn from the pure players? What do they do differently?
A lot, I would say.
Okay.
I think it starts off with like it's a very different culture.
Okay.
That you you adjust or that you have when being a pure player.
Yeah.
And when I say different culture, it means that the culture of digital fast improvements, fast experimentation is sort of ingrained in the company, in the DNA of the company.
Yeah.
Especially outside of the e-commerce team.
I
think that's where the biggest difference lie. If I, just again to give the example of product and product data, that understanding about like it's got to be 100% right and accurate is very present in a pure player environment.
Right.
If I look specifically for digital commerce, what you find when you're a pure player is a culture of experimentation.
Yeah.
And what I mean with that is that when you want to improve, when you want to gradually improve, you want to approach that through experimentation, which means like you're going to try something like running an A/B test. You're going to configure, you're going to develop that. You're going to run it, let's say, with like 10% of the audience. And if it's successful, you're sort of going to be ramping that up.
Right.
But you want to do that very carefully. Just because if you hit the wrong button, so to say, it can have a dramatic impact on your sales.
Right.
And I think that culture of experimentation and fast learning is really what you find a lot in pure players. Whereas when you look at retailers or also with brands, where e-commerce is just a small part of the business, let's say if you do something wrong, I mean, it's the impact is overseeable. And you sort of turn back and you try again.
Right.
But that's different. That's also what I mean with culture.
Right.
Maybe a third example here when it comes down to culture, it's like understanding that what you are putting live is like an MVP or a version 1.0. That is going to be further developed over time.
Right.
So it's not like what you're bringing live. This is it, and this is sort of the end of it. But it's a culture of incremental approvals that you are bringing to the table, and that is an accepted approach within the company, rather than coming from an angle like, okay, hey, this is meant to be there forever, which you can find, let's say, in less digital savvy organizations.
Right. So there is so much experimental things or incremental things we do as a pure player. Do they have better understanding of customer as well? Do they have a more customer insight than the traditional players because they are capturing more data than experimenting and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say in general, absolutely. And they need to.
Right.
And that comes back to my point of the importance of data. To get your data live. I gave the example of the importance of product data, but it's also about the customer data to get that drive in like proper CDP with the right segmentation that you need to have in there. Combine it with behavioral data.
Right.
Also the behavioral data itself.
Right.
So really that whole data foundation, to say, is incredibly important for those pure players. And you need that in order to grow, in order to survive. So that's definitely much more apparent with those pure players than you see with brands or retailers where online may be a much smaller part of the business.
And I'm connecting it back to, again, traditional B2B players who is not making their digital channels that mature because they still believe my sales-led organization have a personal relation with the customers. They know more their customers. On other hand, we are also saying pure player knows more about the customer. So this is sort of a bit of the paradox, right?
That it is. It is.
And I don't know where the truth lies. Like, of course, maybe from relation point of view, traditional are better, but knowing really your customers and their behavior, probably pure players are doing better.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. And I think this is also where B2B companies may be struggling with.
Yeah.
There's a cultural element to it as well.
Right.
If I may give an example here, for example, if I compare Netherlands to Spain.
Yeah.
I recall in Spain when we wanted to open up the online store, or let's say elevate the online store for B2B customers in Spain.
Yeah.
There was a lot of resistance from the sales staff.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to do the online business. They wanted to go out, visit the accounts, meet with the accounts, join them for lunch and dinner, and really work on that part of the relationship.
Right.
And they really saw it as a threat for online to sort of take over that role.
Right.
So it was a lot about.
Yeah.
Technically, there was no challenge there, but it was a lot more about culture and the acceptance of it.
Right. Right.
If I take it back to Netherlands, there I think it's meanwhile much more accepted that a lot of the business is done online. And frankly speaking, I know that a lot of customers like it a lot more because you can do business like 24/7. It's a lot simpler. You can just place the orders yourself, so it's a lot more efficient than doing that through like a sales rep or an account manager.
Right.
But at the same time, what you got to be cautious about is that you still keep a good connection, also a bit of, I call it like an emotional connection between your B2B customer and your company.
Right.
And I think the way to do that is much more about like organizing customer events.
Right.
Where once in a while you invite customers to come over for inspiration sessions. Where they can meet the company, where they can hear about the latest developments, where they can hear about new product propositions that are being brought to market, but also the opportunity to meet with other customers.
Right.
And I think if you organize it that way, that you can still keep like also the emotional or the mental connection with your customers. And that, let's say, the boring work, like making the transactions, is going to be enabled in a much more efficient way than having to take the very classical way of an account manager having to take the orders from a customer.
And that is a change for many of those account managers to think like that rather than...
Indeed.
Hey, talking about change, the biggest change we are observing is AI. It's a part of every conversation. A lot of noises around it as well. What is your opinion? What is the real use case of AI which is helping digital commerce, which you see that is where actually it's adding a value? Rest is more or less noise.
I see a few. If I look at it at customer experience, and I think that's probably going to be the most interesting one, but still really sort of got to come to life. My expectation is that the customer journey is going to be changing from, let's say, e-commerce players sort of, let's say, presenting their portfolio to a customer online to much more like an interactive play where based on the actual customer needs, the digital experience is going to be presenting the right solution, the right products for what a customer really needs. And maybe to give an example here is if I take like Verzuni or Philips Domestic Appliances as an example, it's rather than like presenting a grid of 30 or 40 different air fryers. It's much more about that interactive game. So what are you going to be using the air fryer for? How often are you going to be using it? How big is your family? And sort of getting those questions answered. And then presenting what's going to be the best option. It's a bit like guided selling.
Exactly.
Like the best option for the customer. And that's where I think AI is going to be really making a big difference. So that's one thing. I think the second part is about content. So it's a bit more about efficiency, like really efficient content generation. Written as well as also photography and video. Where AI is really going to be an enabler for that. So that's where I see the big difference. And I think for now, those are the two big ones. Or if I can name it like the third one, what we also see happening is a vibe coding.
Yeah.
That is, really picking up big time.
Right.
And I've seen lovely solutions being developed through vibe coding.
Yeah.
The challenge there, I think, is like, don't expect a vibe coded solution to be production ready.
Right.
But rather look at it from the perspective like it's a good proof of concept.
Right.
Where you can sort of present what an experience needs to look like.
Right.
And you can have like the internal conversations. Is this really what we like, what we want to present?
Yeah.
But then for really building the solution,
right.
I think you still need to go back to call it like the more traditional development in order to make it scalable in terms of performance, in terms of security, and again, making sure that it can handle those hundreds of thousands or millions of visitors that come through it.
Right.
But here's also where AI is going to be making a difference. But let's also not overestimate what you can do with that.
Right. Hey, this vibe coding thing, in an e-commerce organization, who is going to do these experimentations? Still by developers, or even e-com managers can start doing?
Clever e-commerce managers.
Okay.
So that's, I think, the good part about vibe coding. Of course, you need to develop some AI skills in order. You need to have some focus time in order to really know how it works. But the beauty, but also the danger of it, is that non-technical people can create like a vibe coded solution.
Right.
And then it may look like, okay, hey, this is really what I want to have. Let's bring it live.
Right.
But then to do it properly, and again, particularly considering matters like security and performance, you need to collaborate with your IT organization to make that come true.
Right. No, great. And I think we also believe on the same part, like it's empowering business e-commerce managers more to do the experimentation, POCs. But if you want to make a serious application, you have to make sure your QA in place, your process in place. You are let's call it more in a traditional process-oriented way. You have to deliver that solution.
Yeah, indeed.
Hey, Ronald, we are heading toward the end of this podcast. Looking all the transformation, all the changes happening because of AI, social political thing, and everything is happening in this complex world. If today's CEO, CMOs, CDOs would like to accelerate their digital commerce in the next 12 months, what is your one advice for them?
My one advice, I think the most important thing to do, and it may sound a little dry, so to say, is making sure that all your fundamentals are in place in order to accelerate. And when I say fundamentals, it's especially about data. Make sure that you have your data, so your product data, your customer data, your transactional data, to have that properly sorted in the right applications, the right way integrated, because you're going to be needing that in order to fully exploit the AI opportunity that comes up. AI is not going to work without data. So you need to get that right, and it is going to bring e-commerce to the next level. So I would say that is absolutely key to have that right. Maybe a second thing, if I may add that.
Yes, please.
It's also really about establishing the right culture in the company. So the culture of learning, experimentation. Things don't need to be perfect. My motto often is like, perfect is the enemy of done. But also really enhance that culture throughout the organization. Right.
Thank you. No, really great advice. From this podcast, if audience would like to remember one thing, what is the one thing that you will really want to emphasize? I think, is it going to be experimentation or something else? I'm look like one thing that you want audience to remember out of this podcast.
It's indeed, it is experimentation. That is indeed absolute key to do that. But again, the culture of experimentation, the culture in the company, that is the main thing that is going to be make or break it, if you ask me.
Thank you, Ronald, for such a great conversations, for such an inspiring discussion you have. For me, it was very learnful, or let's say I learned a lot in this conversation. One thing I'm going to remember is indeed a culture of experimentation, but also the importance of having a good data foundation. Because in the end, whether it's really from the product data, content, or even customer insight, that's give you the foundation to improve, to go to the next level. So thank you very much for your nice conversation and having time with us.
Okay, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.